Hi, I'm Life Coach Landry, and the topic is 10 behaviors that ruin relationships. It's one of those, a new relationship, when you're getting to know each other, you love each other, you love each other's little quirks. You can't go out a day without spending time together or talking. The beginning of a relationship is great, isn't it? I mean, two people can be in complete bliss. And then somewhere down the road, a few weeks, months, or even years later, something happens, leaving you going, what? I'm confused. Like, what happened to the butterflies and the fun? What went wrong? So if this has happened to you in the past, here are 10 common behaviors that ruin relationships, and I want you to learn how to avoid them, so pay attention to this information. Okay, so number one would be you're acting single. This is pretty obvious. Acting like you're single shows that you really don't have respect for your partner. If you'd rather go out without checking in or constantly make plans with others, friends, and without involving your significant other. Now remember, this is if you are in a relationship where the commitment is expected. Or you've had a conversation. This isn't about if you've been dating once or you've been on a couple of dates. Anybody who expects these things after you've been on a couple of dates is cray cray. You need to toss them. But if this is you've been talking for 6 months, these are pretty normal things that couples would experience. So just remember, being in a successful relationship requires commitment and accountability. Number two, being financially responsible. If you and your partner share a bank account, spend money without thinking about the other person, that can lead to arguments, broken trust, eventually a breakup, obviously. So sharing finances means you have a responsibility to your partner to spend money wisely and consult them before making any large purchases. Obviously, if you need to get gas or get a Subway sandwich, no one needs to worry about that kind of stuff. But if you're doing something bigger than that, let's say you're going to go to the store and you're going to a wedding together and you're looking for a dress and there's one that's, $200 versus $1,200. That might be something you might want to discuss. Or if a man says, you know what, I'm going to go fishing, and you're like, oh, nice, I'm going to buy myself a new rod and whatnot. But while you're there, you're like, I'm going to get a boat, kind of thing. So you might want to discuss that with your partner. So number three would be having no other interests. Being able to spend time alone with your hobbies and interests is important in a healthy relationship. Everybody in a relationship should have a personal bubble, okay? So some men, like I said, like to go fishing. Some women like to go, girls, painting and wine drinking, things like that. You should never feel threatened by these things. And while your partner is doing these activities, you should never be chastising them and telling them, making them feel guilty for spending time away from you. That's an unhealthy relationship. So if you and your partner are constantly together, you won't be able to have your own life either. So friends, interests, hobbies, alone time, being too dependent on your significant other can deprive you of living your own life. Okay. Remember, humans are born without somebody, and you're likely going to die without somebody. And sometimes it's hard for people to hear. But again, I'm an unvarnished truth kind of person. That's reality. Doesn't mean you have to focus on it every day and feel bad about it, but that's reality. People need their own personal bubble. Okay. Number four, being insecure. This is pretty common. Insecurity is a common problem, but it can lead to the demise of a relationship very quickly. Insecurities can cause jealousy, create trust issues, and turn into a reoccurring theme in arguments. Because without trust, there's no cornerstone in a relationship. A relationship just can't last, okay? So you have to find a way to work through your insecurities. That's pretty obvious. I think every relationship or every person has at least dated someone who's been a little insecure and cray-cray, okay? Number five, being disrespectful. Rolling your eyes, being sarcastic, having no regard for your partner's feelings are all forms of disrespect. Okay. So when disrespectful behaviors escalate, someone is bound to get hurt. Okay. So finding humor is tough in situations, but it can be helpful. I'm a naturally sarcastic person. So when I date, or I'm with somebody, I make sure that they understand, hey, this is how I work. This isn't anything against you. So I typically have to date somebody who enjoys sarcasm, because then they're never offended by it. But that's a compatibility. So if you're a sarcastic person, look for somebody that's sarcastic as well, that has a good dry sense of humor. Because if you date someone sensitive, they're going to constantly be hurt. You're going to feel like you're doing something wrong, and ultimately the relationship will fail. But just make sure that you understand who you're with and know that when to turn it off and turn it on. Okay. So number six, showing a lack of affection. Relationships can fall into a rut. Romance can fizzle out, and the magic can disappear. So when you can see that start to happen, going out of your way to show affection is the best way to rekindle the fire. If you wait too long, it might be too late. So remember, every once in a while, give your loved one, a kiss on the cheek, a slap on the butt. Do something a little more like, just makes them feel like when you're walking by them, you're still paying attention to them, whether words are spoken or not, right? So Just keep that in mind. Remember, men really value respect. Women really value being desired. These are two things that have been studied to death. And although women want respect and men want to be desired, it's not what's at the forefront as a common denominator. Yeah, I can find exceptions to the rule, but we're talking about in general, women really want to be desired and men really want to be respected. And if you don't respect your man as a woman and you're with him and you're just finding yourself not respecting, it's likely that you never are. You need to pay attention to that. You need to get out. As a man, if you're around a woman, yeah, you enjoy her company, you think she's really cool, but you're not really desiring her, well, it's likely you never are. So you probably need to get out. A lot of people stay in relationships, thinking something's eventually going to happen. It's not, okay? Eventually you have, like I said, 1 to 3 conversations, and then there's the natural chemistry part of you. Pay attention to your guts. Your gut instincts know what they're doing. Number 7, and this is a pet peeve with a lot of my clients I talk to, being on your phone. Social media is huge these days, right? It's a huge deal in our lives, and it's also caused an end to many relationships. Texting or being on your phone instead of communicating with your partner shows a lack of interest and a lack of respect. When you're at someone's house, when you're at dinner, when you're having coffee, put your phone away. These people are the worst who can't get off their phones. Don't hang out with somebody else if you want to hang out with your phone. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Don't hang out with somebody else if you want to hang out with your phone. Put your phones away when you go out to eat, watch a movie, or whenever you're spending time together with any other human being. It's disrespectful. Now, if you're like, well, I got to check my work emails or whatnot, maybe you need to find a better system than randomly needing to look at your phone for a work email on a constant basis. Maybe if your friends are hitting you up or you're interested, then maybe you don't need to be hanging out with that friend. You need to go hang out with a friend that's texting you. Okay? And that's a huge pet peeve of mine personally. And a pet peeve of a couple of my clients that go on dates and whatnot. They tell me people be on the phone in the middle of a date, or they forgot to turn off their ringer. These things are ridiculous. I mean, value human connections, not your phone. Your phone is not a human connection. Number 8, being dishonest. Dishonesty is a relationship killer. If you lie over a course of time and you have a pattern, your relationship will die. I promise you. If you can't be honest with your partner, then you don't belong in that relationship. And if you're not honest because your partner is always beating you up and making you feel guilty, even if you did nothing wrong, that's a form of manipulation and dishonesty from their side, then get away from them. If you're one of those ones that are being dishonest, find a way to break the cycle before your relationship suffers. Or if you've burnt a relationship, it's dead, it's leftovers, it's not going to ever taste good again, walk away and know with the next person you get with, you cannot lie. Like I said, being dishonest is a relationship killer. If you're constantly being lied to and you're on the other end, it's probably time to move on. Number 9, behaving compulsively. Compulsive behaviors are red flags when it comes to relationships. When a good person is unhappy, they tend to reach for something else. Overindulging in food, alcohol, shopping, or any other vice is a sign that something is off, okay? A lot of women, when they get depressed or they become unhappy, they start to eat. They take on too much food. They start to gain weight. Their partner starts to criticize them. It just keeps getting worse. For men, you start to not want to come home as often. You start to drink a lot. You start spending more time. You start finding another female that makes you feel better and builds your ego to talk to instead of the person you live with or that you're dating. And a much needed conversation is obviously in order if these things are happening. But remember, 2 to 3 conversations max. If it's not solved, move on. Number 10, nagging. Contrary to popular belief, nagging isn't the fault of only one person in a relationship. Nagging occurs when one person repeatedly makes a request and the other person ignores it. This is either an incompatibility or a lack of respect to honor what they're asking of you. Figure out which one. One means you need to leave, and the other means you need to adjust yourself so you can listen to them a little better. And both become increasingly annoyed. The best way to end nagging is to address the issue. Both partners need to work to eliminate it from the relationship. I can't say this enough, like I've said in my past videos. If you have a problem, get to the table, stop walking around with it, solve it. If it can't be solved, find out why it can't be solved, decide if that's a make it, break it for you. And if it's a make it, break it, get out. If it's not a make it, break it, get over it. Okay? So I hope this information was helpful to you. And if you'd like to book a personal session, contact me via the email below. Or if you found this information helpful, show your appreciation by clicking the PayPal donation link below. And I will talk to you soon.